Everyone, and welcome to the Daily Spell. I'm Reverend Mary Hawk, and my special guest tonight is Reverend Don Lewis.
Hello, hello.
And how are you feeling today? Thank you for joining us.
I'm feeling quite well, thank you, and I'm happy to be back.
And we're certainly glad to have you. So, we are ready to answer your questions. If you would go ahead and post them in chat. Hello, Reverend Michael. How are you tonight? Glad you're joining us. Hello, Rhonda. Hi, Sarah Dwyer. And hello, Sir Eric.
Hello, everyone. I've been watching people post that they're receiving their omnibuses, which has been very pleasant. And
Yes,
people seem quite pleased with them.
you're getting universally great reviews,
That's always very gratifying.
except from my grandchild. She said the pictures weren't big enough.
I remember your having mentioned that, yes.
And Rhonda has a question. She wants to know what someone, hi Arlene, what Rex's actions are going to take towards her. And then Eric has a question, and Arlene got her omnibus today.
Yay.
All right. So we will take Rhonda's question, which is what?
My question would be, what are we talking about here?
Yeah, can you clarify that a little?
It's a little broad for a tarot question. Or maybe I should put it another way. Are we asking if Rex is going to have Rhonda come up or not? Or what is going to happen when she's there? Because I would think there would be a distinction between those questions. So
Hey,
for me, the
Bradley.
question is, what are we actually asking? Hello, Bradley.
Okay.
That's what I needed to know.
Is there a possibility of a relationship here?
Oh, do you want to go first, or shall I go first?
You can go first.
So the first card that I have is the Two of Lamps, which is looking at a situation, not being entirely clear what you're seeing, and trying to see where it's going, looking for guidance in the situation. So I would say that around this question, there is an uncertainty of what reaction to expect. It's followed by the Seven of Cups, and the Seven of Cups is it's a card of illusion. Doesn't necessarily mean there's nothing there, but try to look under the surface of the situation. Try to look at it closely without emotion and see how it looks to you in that context. And the Prince of Wands, which says there's a lot of energy here. There probably is a lot of interest here, but it's not very focused. And I would say from those three, I would say that in order for a relationship to develop, it's going to need to get the energies of the situation more focused. That may be what's going on in each of your lives. It may be something else. I'm going to draw another card. I've drawn the mind. Card number 12 in the Tarot of Hecate, and the mind is two things. One, it's the ability to think and reason through the situation, but it's also the relationship between your thinking self and your higher self. And so what I would say is that in dealing with this relationship, you want to make sure that it's really what you need in your life. It's what your higher self actually desires. Because I think there's a bit of a crossed wire between these things. Having done that, through meditation or what have you, we have the Seven of Swords, which says that yes, this is distinctly possible, but it's not the easiest situation. So if you ask me, will he come toward you with love? I would say probably in an ambiguous way. And before going forward with it, I would insist on greater clarity from him. So that would be my advice. Let me draw just one more because I can't stand to leave it like that. And I've drawn the Queen of Wands. And the Queen of Wands is actually a very positive card of having prosperity and happiness and good things. And it's saying that Rhonda is in a position from which she can have all that she wants. But I would say that these are the things that must happen for that to occur. So if it can be focused, make sure it's in accordance with your higher self, seek out some guidance from yourself. And understand that at this point, it's somewhat ambiguous. And now, Mary, your turn.
Well, my first card here is the Princess of Lamps. And the lamps is the suit of spiritual development. And I'm feeling what I'm getting here really has nothing to do with your question, Rhonda. So the princess is talking about your spiritual journey. And what are you looking for on a deeper level? And then I've got the Queen of Pentacles. And so I'm going to say that in essence, you have the ability to have what you want. I'm just not sure, Rex, is what you want. And finally, I have the Six of Lamps. I'm trying to get on camera here with it. And I love this card in this deck because it is talking about a woman who leaves everything behind for a bit and goes off into the woods to meditate. And so that is my recommendation here, some meditation on your own path and what you truly want, because she leaves behind all other distractions. You have the ability to manifest the life you want. And I think right now you need to focus on communicating with your higher self about where your deeper path needs to lead you. And then you can decide if Rex is a part of that or not. So I
Very
hope
cool.
that helps.
And Rhonda says this gives her something to think about.
All right.
So shall we do Sir Eric?
Yes, we shall do Sir Eric.
And thank you for your question, Rhonda.
All right.
You
The
can't see
joys
it,
of
but we're both
shuffling.
shuffling.
The joys of shuffling with arthritis.
I'd try to do it up here where you can see it, but that would be a very awkward maneuver. Do you want to go forward first? Mm-hmm.
I'm not quite finished shuffling. If you are ready, go ahead.
Okay. So Sir Eric asked about a journey he is going through and what it will bring him, basically. And I have drawn the Two of Lamps. Same card we started with last time, even though I spent all that time shuffling the deck. So that means it's definitely meant to be there, or you wouldn't get it twice. And the Two of Lamps is seeking guidance, maybe not being quite clear on what's supposed to be happening, maybe not being quite clear on where you're going, but knowing that you have that guidance within. And you can see the lady is, she's bringing together different elements in her cauldron, but she's also using it for divination and by scrying with the water. And so it's saying, seek your inner guidance about the situation, and let yourself be guided. Second card, Ace of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles basically is money. And not knowing anything else about the situation, the way that I would take this is to say that money is going to be involved in it. It may be spending money or it might be making money. It might be making it and then spending it. But there is concern about money involved in the situation. The situation may even revolve around money in some way, or prosperity. It doesn't have to be money as such, but it very often is. And let's draw another card. And I've drawn the past. And you can see in the picture there is a woman who is basically viewing her own past and assessing herself. And it says, take some time, look at what you've learned, look at where you've been in focusing on where you're going. Take counsel of what you've already done, what you've already learned, what you already know. Because the truth is that in addition to needing that counsel from the higher self, you actually already really mostly know what you need to know. You just have to remember it, hence the past. So I would say do some meditation about it as you go forward. It definitely will impact your prosperity. We're going to draw another card. And we've drawn the Soul. And the Soul, again, represents guidance, but it also represents going out to experience, and experience for its own sake. So it's saying, understand that in this journey you're taking, the journey itself may be the thing that's most important, not the destination, not even the reasons, but rather what you learn by doing it. So be open to the experience as being its own reward. There may be plenty of others, but the experience itself is important and will have lessons to teach that will be important later. I'm going to draw one more. And I've drawn the Sun. And the Sun is success and happiness and all that good stuff. So for a final card and a question about going forward on a journey, it's very positive. It suggests that many good things will come from this. And I would say, again, you want to pay attention to what you already know. You may find that, may find yourself thinking, oh, I already knew that. Why did I need to go through it again? And in fact, you may not need to go through it again if you remember that you know it. Seek your guidance, but remember that it's also the experience. It's not, it's the journey, not the destination, that may bring you the success and the happiness. So that would be my take on it. Mary, it's your turn.
All right. So I have the Four of Wands. So this is indicating some sort of alliance or a partnership. Then I have the Four of Pentacles, which is also indicating prosperity, or at least being in a position to help others. And finally, I have the stars. And so I'm going to say, in your journey, you're going to do this in partnership with others. It is around some prosperity issues. And with the stars, again, you need to take counsel with your higher self. And I think you probably, again, know what you need to do. But meditate on it and it will come to you. But on some level, I think you do know this. And I hope
And
that
thank you, Sir
helped.
Eric.
And I'm going to go ahead and take my background off, and y'all will have to deal with my messy living room because no one can see the cards.
But
Getting ready to
you were
move,
disappearing quite often there. It was a
I'm
most
getting
interesting
ready to
effect.
move, folks. Okay, and then you're welcome. And apparently, I'm permanently Mother Mary now. Great.
So
Okay.
Reverend Mike had a question about his wife's health. I don't know if we can still see it in the chat room, but that was the other question.
Yeah, I pulled it down where I can see it.
Oh, very good.
So, yes, he wants to know about health issues with his wife and will they get worse, requiring major interventions. Well, I am ready, so I will go ahead and go if you're still shuffling. So first of all, I've got the Ace of Cups. So this is obviously an issue you're emotionally invested in. And then apparently, and I shuffled well, but we got the Four of Wands again. So this is around partnership. And I'm thinking it's not just referring to you and your wife and that partnership, but your partnership with the medical team. And then I've got the Four of Pentacles, which again refers to prosperity, which would seem to be a good outcome. And I got the Ten of Cups. So I'm going to say that my advice would be to partner with the doctors, listen to advice, but I'm seeing a good outcome here.
And I have drawn several cards. The first one is the moon. And to me, the moon represents magic and spirituality. And so I would say to remember in this situation, you're a magical person. You know how to use the higher powers of your soul. You know how to use magic. Use them. With it is the Queen of Wands, which is a card of prosperity and stability. So I would have to agree that the outcome of the situation will get better, not worse. And it's followed by the Ten of Swords, And the Ten of Swords says that current situations are going to change. And I would say that would imply to me that things should get better and that the current worries will be alleviated. And then I drew also the King of Wands. And the King of Wands is passion and energy. And I would take that also to say that there's a lot of emotion going into the situation, or will be, but the outcome again to me also looks good. I'm going to draw one more card because I can't leave well enough alone.
Never can.
I've drawn the Four of Swords. And the Four of Swords suggests to me, the Four of Swords to me means a timeout period or a resting period. And I would say to look at the present situation as a temporary situation that maybe provides for possible greater clarity in other situations, that it might be a little bit of a stepping out of the world and treat it that way. But my overall answer is that I would look for things to go well, and I would use the magical knowledge that you have, and again, I would expect that rather than getting worse, it's going to get better.
Okay. Hello, Mark. And Janet asked if we have any messages from Spirit for her.
See, I'm really shuffling. Thank you, Michael.
You are welcome, Michael. Well, I am done, so I will start.
Very good.
And I have the Five of Pentacles, which generally represents doing well in the material world. Then I have the Nine of Cups. And with the 9, we are looking at your heart's desire. And finally, we have the Princess of Swords. So, with the Princess of Swords, I'm getting here, you've got a decision to make, is what I'm getting. And you have the resources to make it, but you are going to have to make some sort of decision soon.
My turn?
Your turn.
So I really did shuffle the cards. I even had them up where the camera could see it for a while, and I got this card again for the first one, the Two of Lamps. And again, the Two of Lamps is seeking spiritual guidance. So I would say that I would start by saying that you need to listen to your higher self. You need to meditate. You know how to do this, but make sure that you're doing it. It's followed by the King of Wands, another one that just came up for me, from a totally different part of the deck. And this again is passion. It's saying that whatever the situation that you're actually asking about or that is going on around you at this time, you feel very strongly about. And with that, I drew the Five of Cups. And the Five of Cups is feeling as if you've lost something or that you don't have what you would like to have. So you're feeling very passionate about the situation, but not necessarily very happy about the situation. And again, you need to seek guidance from your higher self, from Spirit. I also drew the Queen of Coins, which is a very positive card, a card of prosperity, a card of having not only enough for yourself, but enough to spread around with others if you choose. So it's saying that you're actually going to be in a perfectly good position probably already are in a perfectly good position. And don't let whatever this situation is distract you from the fact that you're actually doing just fine or better than fine. But the emotion that's connected to it may distract you from the positivity of the rest of your situation. Let me draw another card for the aforementioned reason that I just can't leave well enough alone. And I've drawn the Six of Wands, which is a card of victory. So it's saying that you're going to have a good outcome in the situation. You are in or going to be in a good situation, generally speaking. But just at this moment, or along the way, you may find yourself feeling less positive about it all. But the actual outcome, the actual situation will be just fine. So I would say focus on that spiritual guidance and avoid the emotion that you might be getting, and you'll find the whole thing will be better than you expect. And that's what I would say.
All right. And Mark is saying, I've been feeling very Seven of Cups lately. What aspects are revolving in that feeling? I need help finding what they are.
Thank you, Janet.
You are welcome, Janet.
And Janet says that the reading makes sense to her, which is good. That always
Good.
makes the reader feel better.
It does.
You know, it's interesting because when you're doing the reading, it may not make sense to you. It's not uncommon that the client will understand what may be a mystery to the reader.
Although I have a deck I had to put in timeout once. It was just not making sense for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So it went in timeout for a couple of months.
Well, I've got an interesting group of cards.
Well, I'm still shuffling, so you go ahead and go, and then you can pull a couple more.
So I've started with the Empress. And the question here is, why is Mark feeling the way that he's feeling? Why is he in the midst of ennui, or however we would phrase the Seven of Cups, the feeling that things are illusory around him, that they're not really giving him what he wants. That perhaps things he has desired were not all that he desired. The Empress is prosperity. The Empress is a very positive, very prosperous, very emotionally stable card, which is interesting because they all are. Queen of Lamps. Queen of Lamps is using your spirituality in a practical fashion, using it for magic, using it for divination and focus. Definitely using your spiritual aspects in your life. Followed by the Ace of Cups, which is happiness and emotional satisfaction, and the Hermit, which is ability, the ability to work your will in the world. So I'm inclined to say that what Mark might be feeling here is lack of challenge. That he's come to that point where the question becomes, why am I here? Not how do I get here? And, you know, the only real answer to that can come from inside. I'm going to draw another card.
Mm-hmm.
And I've drawn the Queen of Wands, which again is a card of prosperity and happiness and good things, card of success. So I think actually Mark may be finding himself in a position of spiritual opening where the things that were formerly answers are no longer serving. And it's time to expand the consciousness and time to really look at what is the life purpose here? What am I really here to do? and that the things that perhaps have been pursued up until now are simply not answering that question. So I would say focus on your spirituality as the way of overcoming the Seven of Cups-ness. Mary, it's your turn.
Is it now?
It is
So
now.
I have drawn the Empress.
Alrighty then.
So we're starting with a good foundation that we both agree on here.
Mhm.
And then also the suit of lamps, I have the 10 of lamps, which is showing the completion of a stage in a spiritual journey. And then finally, I have the Prince of Swords. And so here we have someone in the thick of battle. So, yeah, you need a new challenge. Pure and simple. It is time for you to find a new challenge to take on.
Pick something big. Go large or go home.
Yes,
Of
go large or go home.
course, what that means, of course, is different for everyone. But choose something that will be enough of a challenge that you will be stretching yourself. And I think you'll find that you feel much better about everything.
Yes.
And do we have any more questions?
Does anyone else want to see what other cards repeat?
And you know, it's
Oh, wow.
interesting when that happens.
It truly is.
Oh, and Bowen has a question about his spiritual path and where he is at. When he first said, "How about where I am at?" I was thinking, "What town?"
Florida.
Okay, so
And Mark
where is
says that's
Bowen?
an interesting reading.
It was an interesting reading. I don't get that kind of reading very often. Thank you, Mark. And Bowen
You are welcome.
clarifies that his question is, am I making right choices in my new endeavors?
And then we have a question from Bradley next. Okay. Well, Bowen, I'll start because Lord Don is still shuffling, but I've got the Queen of Pentacles. So this means, from a point of view of prosperity, you're doing well. I have the Four of Wands. So this is suggesting that a partnership is the right thing. And then finally, I have the Three of Pentacles, which is again around prosperity and leadership here. So I'm going to say that you are on the right path at this time. Hi, Mary Catherine. Yes, this thing is on.
So, as I was shuffling, I had a card fall out of the deck. And when that happens, it is a special sign, and the card is the Magus, the magician. And that basically is saying that you can do whatever you decide to do. It is, you know, sometimes some things are more doable than others. This says that whatever you decide to do is within your power to do. And that, of course, is a very good situation to be in, but a very difficult situation because you can decide whatever. Um, and it's basically saying that that's where you're starting from, where you are, that you can do any of the things that are before you. It's a matter of what you want. Is followed by the Six of Swords, which says that you're on a journey. Not a physical journey in all likelihood, but a journey of the soul. And that where you are and where you will end up are not the same, although you know that's true of every moment in life, but it's going to be particularly true in this question, that what you see of where you're going and the choices you're making is only a small part of what's really involved. There are many things that will come to you that you don't really see now. And therefore can't really take into your decision making, but understand there's far more involved than is visible. We have the Lovers, and the Lovers to me means that there's still a choice here, that not all choices are made, and but at the same time, whichever choices are before you, they're all possible. Um, and it's not like one is way better than the other. It's what do you want? Always a difficult thing. Seven of Swords, you could do all of it if you wanted, but you will feel it if you try to do everything. It will be a lot of swords in the air, for want of a better way to put it. And then the Ace of Swords, which says that you'll make a good decision. You have good decision-making ability. You should trust yourself and trust your decision. All of which together, I would say, I would take to mean that yes, you are making the right decisions and doing the right things, but do know that there's more than meets the eye, and that that there may be more decisions ahead. That things are not completely set, and what is in front of you, you only see part of. I'm going to draw one more because I have to. Hopefully I won't regret this. No, Two of Cups. Two of Cups indicates the involvement of one or more other people. That there is there are others whose help or whose involvement will be important to how this plays out. It's not a solitary path. So again, I would say things are good and that you are making the right decisions, but you don't necessarily know everything about where they're going to lead. And there we go.
All right.
Oh,
And
and Bowen says that both of us are spot on, even with his oblique question. We nailed it. Thank you, Bowen. That's very kind
thank
of you to
you.
say, and I'm glad to know.
Yes. And Bradley wants to know what opportunities for growth or transformation are in my life right now.
I have dropped a card. I'll be right back.
We'll be right back after we retrieve this dropped card. Okay.
That took some skill because I'm reading over a surface and it fell all the way to the floor.
All right. So I have got the Four of Lamps. Which I am reading in this context as you have the opportunity to develop your spirituality more. We have the Five of Pentacles, and I shuffled really well. We're just playing pull the same cards tonight. But you have some opportunities in the physical world right now. And finally, we have magic, which means basically you can create whatever opportunities you want right now, Bradley, because you have the ability to do that.
And so the card that fell out of the deck was the same card that Mary started with, the Four of Lamps. And so for me, this has to do with the subject matter of the reading, which is spiritual growth, spiritual guidance. Being led forward spiritually. The second card is the Five of Lamps, which is a spiritual quest. So I think that you're going to find yourself that in terms of growth and expansion, your opportunities are spiritual. The act of discovering them is a big part of the situation, the quest to find them. You can see in the picture that the woman is carrying a traveling stick and is going off on a vision quest. And that's kind of what you're doing. Where you're going, you don't necessarily know, but it's spiritual growth. With it is the Eight of Swords. And so while this is happening, you may feel held back by it. You may feel like you know it's right there at the edge of your world, and you can't quite get to it until you do. And spiritual opening can be that way. People think of it as being all fun and enjoyable, but there's work involved, and sometimes until you get the answer, you really feel the lack of it. So I think you're going to find yourself on a spiritual journey of expansion, and the final card I drew is Judgment, which is getting what you've worked for. So you're going to get a very good reward for that journey, a very good reward for that expansion. But while you're expanding, sometimes you're going to feel the effort. I'm going to draw one more because,
Mm-hmm.
And I've drawn the King of Coins. And the King of Coins is prosperity and success, basically money, good things. In a question like this, probably not so much money as prosperity, but it's saying that you're going to be in a good, strong situation when you have gone through this journey. And Bradley says that he definitely feels that pull from on the spiritual path, and I'm not surprised. And that's what it is. That's what that is. You're going to be looking and you're going to be finding. So there you go.
All right. And we have another question from Cardware. On the 30th, my pagan seminary will be on the agenda for our letter of exemption for the state of Florida. Could you please provide some additional insight into how this may be or go, especially the state of the state? As always, I appreciate you. And now I'm going to disappear for a moment because I just dropped a card.
Well, I'm just taking a moment to share this to my personal page. And so our question is, how will the exemption go? How will the?
And I am back.
Oh, very good.
What an interesting evening it's been.
It has been. And Mary Burnett says, if this were a poker game.
I would never play poker with Reverend Don.
I was that person who sat in front of the mirror at age 12 practicing how to keep the straight face.
Ah! And alas, my memory is not what it was. I can no longer keep track of where every card in the deck is.
And Bradley says, thank you very much. And this is more confirmation that he is indeed walking the path he is meant to. And that is wonderful.
It is indeed. And I'll let you go first, just so we can see if the card I drop shows up for you.
Well, you know, it's an indication of things hitting really well when that happens. So let's draw the first card. My first card is the Princess of Lamps. And the Princess of Lamps is magic, working your will in the world. And I would take this to mean do not simply passively go through this event, but focus on the outcome that you want and make it so, because you know how to do this. Second card, the Chariot, which is moving forward and conquering. And you can see it's kind of a St. George and the Dragon picture, which is a little unusual for the Chariot. But whether he's battling the dragon or riding it is a question. And I would say you might feel a little bit that way in this situation, but in fact, you should be riding the dragon. The dragon should carry you forward. And again, you have the ability to work your will in the situation. Make sure that the dragon is not pulling you, but carrying you. And the Eight of Cups, expect things to move quickly. Expect that you may be finding yourself facing a number of fears, but that's what they are. And if you follow the advice of the first two cards, that's all they will be. You can see in the picture the man is being tormented by ghosts, by apparitions, which, being ghosts and apparitions, cannot actually harm him. It's his emotion that's harming him. So put aside any fear, put aside any worry, focus on bringing about that which you desire. And the High Priestess, which says, let spirit guide you, listen to your guidance, and put it into practice. Use the magic you have, use the skill you have, and everything should be good. But do be aware you may find yourself facing a lot of your worries along the way, but don't allow them to overpower the situation, because they do not need to. So I would say I would look for a good outcome as long as you stay focused in your own power. Mary.
All right. So the card that jumped out is Heart. So clearly you have a whole lot of emotion and passion wrapped up in this. Now, the first card I pulled is the Ten of Cups, which generally means a good outcome. The second card I pulled is the Five of Lamps. This is referring to a spiritual journey. And I'm also seeing invoking spirit. Then the next card I pulled was the Seven of Pentacles, which can be losses, which I found concerning. So I pulled one more card and I got the Moon. So this is about spirituality and magic. So I'm going to say that overall, you're looking at a favorable outcome, but you need to be working your magic, your prayers, calling in your spiritual allies, however you do it. The possibility of a good outcome is there, but you are going to have to work for it. Is what I'm seeing here.
So
and
there you
keep
go.
us posted. I want to
Yes,
hear
indeed.
from you on the 30th about how this went. Will you know on the 30th, or do they make you wait?
I'm sure we will know in a few moments. You know, it's interesting.
It is.
Years ago, I was heavily involved in psychic fairs, and I would do 20 to 30 readings a day. And sometimes you'd get the same message with several different clients. And I was told that that means it's usually also a message for you. Um, the other thing is when you have two readers who are doing things like drawing the same cards, they're hitting very well. It's a good moment. But one of the
Yes.
things that made psychic fairs so special is when you bring multiple psychic people together, they do augment each other. Same as
Yes.
magical people. And in fact, they are the same things.
Strong words. This has been 10 years in the making. There will be a live meeting on Zoom to the public, and we will know on Thursday. Thank you so
Wow.
much. No, you are welcome, and we want to know what you find out, Caredware.
Absolutely.
I will light a candle for you on the 30th. Mary Catherine says, I have some fear, so I'm observing. You're always welcome to observe. Tarot and psychism are the most normal things in the world, though. It's nothing to be afraid of. And Janet says, I love the psychic. I'm sure she meant to say fairs.
Mm-hmm.
Although psychic furs is taking me down the idea of a story. A psychic grove of trees.
Well, you know, that would be a good story, and that is a thing. And we know now that trees communicate in a far more physical way than we knew previously. Spiritual people have always known. We've always known that trees and plants communicate, but
right.
It's known now in far stronger ways than previously.
Yeah. Science has proven what we already knew. And Mary Catherine, I'm glad you found something you needed. And
Yes,
I
indeed.
also want to make an announcement. I am launching my show, Witch Rising, Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern. So that would be 7 Mountain, 6 Pacific. And I will be addressing paganism and social issues. So please join me.
That will be wonderful.
Yes, it will be. I'm sure you will be a sack of nerves, but you had a card about that, Caredware.
That's true.
So do
and it's
your
only to
work.
be expected under such
It is.
circumstances.
It is.
It would be rather more remarkable if there were no nerves.
I know. It would probably mean you didn't really care one way or the other if you weren't nervous. So, well,
So
we are
this has been fun.
It has. I'm so glad you were able to join us. This has
Thank
been
you.
fun. I don't think I've ever drawn this many cards in unison with anyone.
Well, again, that's a sign that we're in synchronicity on this
Yes,
occasion, and it adds in its way to the readings, to
it does.
the confirmation of them. Psychic reading is a fascinating thing,
It
and
it truly
yeah,
is.
and I'm a great believer in the idea that there's no better education for a psychic than doing. I'm so glad I worked in the psychic fairs, especially the hard ones, because I learned to read in ways that some people never will. At the J&M fairs, you had only 10-minute readings at the well, as an average. And they were often in places like shopping malls. There was no such thing as quiet. And and that was the best possible training. I remember being asked to do popcorn readings, which is basically what we're doing tonight, and thinking, you can't read that fast with 3 cards. And then I found out, oh, yes, you can. And you can get in faster and do better with a shorter reading in many
You
cases. So,
can. You
yeah,
can.
but you have to learn how. And when you
Yes.
do, it's a great skill. And Bowen says that he's on the waiting list for tarot class with Lord Mike Neal. That will be wonderful.
And Sarah, glad to see you, even though we're winding down. Bradley, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And we're coming up on the top of the hour, whatever hour it is, wherever you are. So, Reverend Don, would you see us out with a blessing, please?
Certainly. Divine Mother Goddess, Divine Father God, beloved ancestors, we ask you to be with us and guide us as we go forward in our personal spiritual journeys. Tell us that which is needful for us to know and help us to see and to hear the advice that you give, for sometimes it is difficult for us to listen. We ask you to remain steadfast in guiding us and to help us as we go forward to have the understandings that we need. Beloved Mother Goddess, beloved Father God, beloved ancestors, we thank you. And may you blessed be now and always. And may you blessed be until next time.
Blessed be everyone. Thank you for joining us.